what does that process look like from, hey, I'm going to show up and make 40 calls, the bare minimum a day, to the guy that, as we mentioned, got promoted 6 times in 5 years, 60,000 cold calls, all these other accolades. How did you start to get your act in gear? Like, what were the first steps? Like, if someone's listening to this and they're like, man, by the end of this, hopefully they do want to be all in on whatever they're doing. Like, what steps did you take to start like changing the trajectory, like quite literally?
Yeah, yeah. When you're sitting around and you're looking to your left and your right, and you have your teammates, your company's preaching, "Hey, we're all one team. We're all in it together." But to me, I had to frame it where it's pissing me off that other people are doing better than me. Not selfishly, me thinking if they do well, that takes away from me. But hey, I want to be better than everyone around me is. And I remember onboarding with some of these guys. And one of the guys was at the top of the leaderboard that first month. He had like 37 opportunities, which was unheard of. And I looked at it, and you start to get frustrated and you say, these guys are no different than me. Why are they finding it quicker? Why are they figuring out sooner than me? And it starts to become frustrating. And I remember I reached that it is sales for me moment, which everyone goes through. I called my mom that first month and I said, I don't know if sales is for me. I just moved myself across the country and I'm not figuring it out. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. And then you start to have that fear creep in of, well, what if this doesn't work out? What if I try as hard as I can and I still don't get the results I want? I think just leaning into that fear and the anger, whatever emotions, negative or positive you have, you got to leverage that to say, okay, well, I have all this energy now. Let me push it into something productive. And that looks like, well, let me show up first, let me leave last. And time is one thing. You can put in more time than everyone else, but I think it's just deciding that I'll just put in more volume. That was the simplest tweak, Tom. It was, if they expect you to make 80 calls, I'll make 100 calls each and every day. And it wasn't a matter of, am I outperforming those around me? It was, am I putting in more volume and activity than those around me? So we have our daily leaderboard on the CRM, the sales dashboard, and you see total calls, total emails, total meeting set, total opportunities, total pipeline, all of that. And my entire goal was to be at the top of that leaderboard each and every day, not in spite of other people, but it was just, I'm petty where if someone's ahead of me at 5 p.m., they made 30 more, like I'll stay until 6 to make 40 calls. It doesn't matter. If it were raining outside, I would say, you know what? Everyone else is complaining about this commute sucked this morning. To me, I would say I'm making 100 calls a day. Some days I would show up and say, I'm not eating food till I set a meeting. Hey, manager, hold my phone. I'm not looking at this phone until I set a meeting today. So you got to find ways to have fun with it, but it requires a little bit of extremeness to say, you know what, we're frustrated. We don't want to be where we're at today. What does the future state look like? Okay, are we serious enough to actually put in the necessary levels of activity and volume? And that's the biggest thing holding people back, in my view, is just not putting in more activity because it's totally controllable.